Today on Doomed! Christian nationalism, January 6th, and connections to the far-right social media platform Gab. Is this man the most extreme Republican candidate this year? On today's episode of Doomed with Matt Binder, we will be getting into the gubernatorial candidate from the Republican Party for Pennsylvania, Doug Mastriano. And let me tell you, this guy is, he's something. He's something else. And joining me now, let me pull us up on the feed here. Joining me now to discuss all of this is Christopher Mathias, senior reporter at the Huffington Post. And Christopher, Chris, thank you so much for joining me on the show today. Oh, wait, hold on. Sorry. Just put you up. Go ahead.
Okay. Thanks so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Like I mentioned to Chris before we went live, this is the first episode of the show with this second monitor I just got, which should make my life easier. But being that I'm getting used to it, I forgot to press one of the buttons on the other monitor to bring you up. But Chris, thanks for joining me. Fresh off of your weekend at a Mastriano rally.
Yeah, man. Thanks so much for having me. It was quite a trip. Not the biggest rally in the world, but we'll get into that later.
Right. Yeah, I guess I mean I was, before we get too much into him, let me just ask you this up top, sort of set the stage here about I mean, I guess the fact that he is the Republican candidate and he will be on the general election ballot in November, we should still be a little bit worried. But how worried, I guess, should we be? You just said that his rally was kind of well, you didn't say it was a letdown yet, but you said it wasn't so big. How's he looking?
Well, yeah. So old Dougie isn't looking too great right now. He is polling like double digits behind Shapiro. He is kind of running out of cash, and a lot of like major national Republican groups aren't funding him. He posted a very sad video last week, basically begging people to give him money, where he had a fake drop of the Pennsylvania monument in Gettysburg behind him, where incidentally is where I'm from, but we'll get to that. But yeah, he's not doing great, and I think like basically the campaign was expecting a lot more people at this rally in Harrisburg. So like according to the kind of permit they filed with the state capitol, and obviously like you always overestimate the amount of people that are going to come. Like you want as much space as possible, but they got a permit for 2,000 people, and Mastriano, in the lead up to the rally, had posted a video with his lieutenant governor candidate, Carrie Del Rosso, basically inviting people to come to this big rally. And of course, like about 50 people showed up.
Whoa. When you said it wasn't so big, I was thinking, I guess they expected what, a couple hundred, and maybe 100, 200 showed up.
Well, yeah,
but
I mean,
50 people.
Yeah, 50 people, man. It was pretty sad. Like,
I gotta ask,
like
if I mean, everyone's been following at least one specific campaign running in Pennsylvania, and that is,
right.
Of course, the John Fetterman Dr. Oz race.
Of course.
Is Mastriano doing worse than Dr. Oz?
I think so. And so like as much as I want to like, and I think you kind of pointed to this, but like as much as I want to talk about how like bad the campaign is going for Mastriano, like I want to like, he can still do it, who knows?
Right.
Yeah. And also, and I think this will become clear too, is that like the fact that he has the amount of support he does already is deeply concerning. But yes, I think he's doing worse than Dr. Oz. And it's like getting a little desperate. I think, it's tough with campaign rallies sometimes, right? Because, they happen kind of on the fly. Like you never know how many people are going to turn up. But to hold like, and I think it's important to realize too, is that like Mastriano doesn't hold a ton of public rallies. He has basically kind of closed himself off from the press and holds a lot of events in private spaces. And so to hold like a public rally, if there was real energy behind your campaign, you would expect a lot more people there. And I think there was like, I tried to like in the article be fair and like come up with some excuses for him. Like, basically like it was during a Penn State game. It like there was a January 6th truth rally down in DC that maybe if one of the supporters would maybe want to go to, or maybe like you just didn't advertise it enough, like whatever,
Right.
like a small fault. But it did like the feeling of the rally just felt like it was losing a little steam. So yeah, I don't know, man. We're only what, like 5, 6 weeks out now. And I was much more concerned about him maybe winning this thing a few weeks ago than I am now. I'll put it
Right.
that way.
Right. Well, another thing we could give to Mastriano is, maybe the anticipation for the NHL season beginning in 2 weeks. Well, 3 weeks from
Yes,
then,
yes,
people were
yes,
staying
yes.
home.
They're just getting ready, just getting ready.
I mean,
Yeah,
they've got they got teams. Pennsylvania PA takes their hockey seriously. Uh,
it does, it does.
I asked you this again, so we can go into this. I wanted to know whether I should go into this and cry as you're telling me how terrible he is, knowing he can pull this off, or again, I'm not going to say sit back and relax, but or if we could like just be a little bit cautious and just like take it in and see how it goes as we discuss this, because people should not count him out. Again, he is the
Yeah,
Republican candidate. He will be one of two people on that general election ticket. Well, at least one of two with an actual chance. I don't know if there's any third
yeah, yeah.
parties running. So yeah, let's get into this, because I actually have had listeners over the past week or so reach out to me about, I would love to hear about an episode about Mastriano, and I was like, that's this show's wheelhouse, so let's get into this. But
Yeah.
for people who aren't familiar with Doug Mastriano, who is
Mhm.
he?
Sure. Yeah. So Doug Mastriano is a state senator from South Central Pennsylvania. So kind of Adams County, Franklin County. I'm from Adams County, so I'm from his district. And he is a veteran. He, I believe, served in Desert Storm. Um, Loves to talk about his military past. And he worked at the Army War College in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. Um, and there's also a story came out recently that while he was at the Army War College, they were having some event and he dressed up like a Confederate reenactor, which was like a story for a week there. But yeah, and he basically, was a state senator who made a real effort to be the foremost like election denier in Pennsylvania, one of the most important crucial battleground states in the presidential election. And so he really, really made himself a name for that. Really did the tour of right wing media. He's been a feature on Steve Bannon's The War Room for a long time now. Um, and so he really established himself as one of the foremost election deniers, even before the 2020 election. And then when the election happened, he really got involved and basically introduced a resolution in the state legislature, which would have basically, so Biden won Pennsylvania by like 80,000 votes, right? What Mastriano wanted to do was basically claim those votes fraudulent and cast a new slate of electors from the state of Pennsylvania. And I'm sure, I know people are familiar with the scheme already, but so he introduced a resolution trying to do that. It didn't work, but it obviously very much endeared him to MAGA world and to Trump world. He also held, there was that famous conference in Gettysburg, like the election denying conference, where he was basically trying to, with Rudy Giuliani, where they were trying to, like right after the election, where they were trying to push this kind of fake elector scheme and push all this voter fraud stuff. And so that also kind of raised his profile. And then he was also just kind of, a very kind of canny operator on social media, where he really developed a devoted following on Facebook, where he was pushing, all of this far right stuff, mostly election denial, or in his words, election integrity stuff, that made him a real name come the primaries for governor. And primary, people, there's kind of a rush to appeal to the base and appeal to the kind of the most extreme right-wing elements. Mastriano was obviously doing that. Not necessarily, he wasn't performing his right-wing bona fides, like he is very extreme. And it kind of paid dividends for him. And then also his opponent, imminent opponent, the Democrat, Josh Shapiro, kind of did a risky move, which was, and we've seen this, I think, in a few races across the country, where Shapiro, a Democrat, made campaign ads for because he saw him as a more beatable candidate in the general election, because he was, a more extreme candidate, and therefore saw him as more beatable. Initially, when Shapiro did that, I was very skeptical. and
it
also
usually doesn't work out, actually. Like,
I feel like
Donald Trump is a good example of that strategy not working out.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I feel like that flies in the face of everything we've learned over the last 5 years. But at any rate, I mean, maybe he made the right bet. I don't know. I mean, maybe that's what's happening now, because I think Shapiro has been able to really hammer home to voters how extreme Mastriano is, and it's just millions and millions of dollars of ads. Like, his message is every time is Mastriano is too extreme for Pennsylvania, is too extreme for Pennsylvania, too extreme for Pennsylvania. And Mastriano doesn't like respond to it. He doesn't have any. He's not buying any campaign ads to kind of rebut those things. He's very much operating in the like kind of far right like silo and media universe. And I think this election, in a way, is kind of a good test of whether or not that's enough to win an election. And right now, doesn't seem like it is.
Right. And let me ask this before we get into some more things, because you were mentioning Mastriano's involvement in the election fraud push in 2020. Was he a part of the infamous Four Seasons Total Landscaping press conference, or was he not?
Oh shit! I actually don't know. Was he?
I don't know. I actually
no. So I
no clue.
I don't know if he was. Yeah.
Doesn't look like
so
it. Okay. I had to ask, because that's the one that comes to mind.
Yeah, but what he was involved in, though, was, I mean, I should have mentioned this earlier. This is one of the most important things on his resume, which is that he was at the Capitol on January 6th, and so even better.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Yes.
So a quick backstory on that, which is that Mastriano rented out buses and literally bused people to the Stop the Steal rally at the Capitol. So like a lot of people there on January 6th were there because Mastriano brought them there. I think the buses picked them up in New York. I can't remember where exactly in South Central PA it was, but at any rate, they get down there. Mastriano marches to the Capitol, and he's there with, I believe, his wife, He's taken selfies with all the insurrectionists. And then, afterwards, obviously, it's a news story that the state senator was at the insurrection, and he like basically kind of denied that he did a lot of like what a lot of like elected officials did, that were kind of caught out for being there, which was they said, we weren't involved in the violence, we like saw it and walked away. As more and more footage came back from after January 6th, it became clearer and clearer that Dougie was much closer to the violence at the Capitol than he had kind of previously let on, and had even, I don't think I'm misstating this, I think he like walked past a police barricade that had been kind of pushed over. Double check me on that. But at any rate, Doug was there. So that's a very important part of his resume.
Do you know if there was any investigation into how much he knew beforehand? Because I know, a lot of those people. I mean, obviously, this was already a publicly announced event, but it seems like the people who set up the bus rides there, for the most part, had some more knowledge than most about what was gonna go down, what the purpose of the event was.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's so. A lot of those details are going to come out at some point. So Mastriano is among many elected officials who have been subpoenaed by the House Select Committee investigating January 6th. So I believe he was subpoenaed, and then he did agree to an interview, but basically walked out of the interview pretty quickly, because it was something about like he and his lawyer wanted to record the interview, and I think the committee was like, no, like that's not how this works or something. But it was basically a way for him to kind of get out of it. So I don't know like actually what is going to come of Mastriano and the January 6th committee. But to your question, yeah, I'm sure he knew it might get a little spicy on January 6th.
Right. Maybe this campaign was a Hail Mary, just like Trump's thinking of announcing his presidential campaign as soon as shit gets real for him, and like if he wins, he's thinking, oh, they can't come after me now. I'm governor of PA.
Exactly, maybe. Yeah. If he does lose this election, it'll be curious to see what he actually does afterwards. I could kind of see him becoming like a MAGA media figure, like influencer,
Right.
which I think that's kind of the direction a lot of these people go in. Or he'll just stay in the state Senate, but I feel like that's beneath his ambitions.
Right. And what is this report that you had during the summer about he used campaign funds for a January 6th committee lawyer?
Yeah. So basically it seems like and it's a little, honestly, I don't know the ins and outs of like campaign law. But he used his campaign funds to pay for this lawyer to represent him to the House committee. And this lawyer, if I remember correctly, has been mixed up with a lot of far-right figures. But what's his name again? I had a very blunt Parlatore. Yeah.
Oh
I
yeah,
had a
that's
very
it.
blunt.
Yeah. Timothy
Yeah.
Palatore.
Yeah. And so, I mean, the lawyer made it clear that like this doesn't violate any laws, and like honestly, I don't know if it does. But Mastrio like did use campaign money to basically defend himself for the insurrection, which
Right.
Is something voters should probably be aware of.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
um,
if you want the guy, if you're donating to a candidate because you want them to win, I mean, that's not the same as donating a candidate because you want them to get out of any legal trouble they might be in. I mean, maybe you don't mind, depending, and you know what? I'm sure a lot of these people wouldn't mind that, but
Yeah.
you should know about it because I know, like, for example, if I was to donate to Bernie Sanders and then found out that he was using my money to get out of some lawsuit where he was running some cryptocurrency scheme in the background, then I would want to know because I would not want to help. I like
That
Bernie, but I wouldn't want to help him get away with defrauding people via crypto.
that would be deeply upsetting. Also, a giant story if Bernie was really into crypto.
Right. Oh man, I would have to do a dual show with my other podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's get into a little bit of this actually because actually I don't want to forget about asking you this.
Sure.
I'm assuming Mastriano has Donald Trump's blessing. He received the endorsement and all that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, like, it's hard to describe. Like, Mastriano, I think, claims to talk to Trump like every week or something. Like, he claims to be like very close to Trump, and I wouldn't doubt it. I think, like, if anything, um, what if anything that's been demonstrated over these last few years is that Trump kind of prizes loyalty beyond anything else, right? And Mastriano has been completely loyal. Like, he's devoted his whole career to the lie that the election was stolen for Trump. He's like Trump's like warrior in the key battleground state. So yes, like a blessing and then some from Trump.
All
Yeah.
right. I had to ask because I wasn't sure if maybe it was one of those situations where, like, during the primary, both Republican candidates just happened to be named Doug, and Trump said, "I endorse Doug," like he did. Where did he do that for? I forgot, but he did that for
Oh
some.
yeah, where was that? That was in fuck, I can't remember.
Right, but it was
God.
like two guys named Mike, and he couldn't choose between them, so he
I mean,
came
it's
out.
kind of brilliant in a way.
Right. So he came out the day before and goes, "I endorse Mike." And they both claim the endorsement was for them. And then when one of the Mikes won the next day, Trump came out and was like, "I always knew Mike would win. That's why I endorsed him."
Well, I think from what I can recall, there was only one Doug in the Pennsylvania primary, so
Okay.
I think I knew who he was talking about. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Just wanted to make sure. So,
Yeah.
I cover a lot of right-wing extremist figures on the show, across the board in the ideological spectrum of, your basic, maybe not that much of a difference nowadays, but there is enough to talk about, your modern day Republican and then all the way to your straight up neo-Nazi white supremacists or whatever. And,
Sure.
Doug here, Doug Mastriano, appears to be someone who partakes in the, from what I've heard, the Christian nationalism spectrum of the right. What exactly puts him there? What has he been doing to, portray himself as a Christian nationalist?
Sure. So yeah, basically, like, I mean, Christian nationalism is basically like this belief, right, that like America is a nation by and for Christians, and that it's like in need of saving from like satanic forces. Like, and when I say satanic forces, I'm not like exaggerating. Like, it talks about it in those terms. Like, it uses the word Satan, um, and basically they feel like it's their divine, God-given mission that they, kind of take control and take power. And it is like at its root, and I think something that doesn't always come across in the coverage of Christian nationalism is that at its core, it is like explicitly anti-democratic. Does not believe in pluralism, does not believe in democracy. It believes in dominion and domination and a kind of a government run by their very particular interpretation of scripture.
Right.
Um,
It's like a theocracy.
Yeah, no,
man's
it's
laws here on earth, government laws, do not supersede what they believe is handed down to them from, Jesus Christ and the great Lord above.
yeah, absolutely. Like it's actually not an exaggeration to call them like theocrats, and it's been very interesting actually over the last few years, and I'm sure this is something you've seen as well. But to watch the far right, um, basically, like figures like Nick Fuentes, like of like the America First movement. Nick Fuentes, I'm sure maybe you've talked about him on here before, but he, is a white nationalist, was at Charlottesville. He's a young dude, but has like, kind of made this movement around him, um, and of white nationalists, but they it's straight up white nationalism that they kind of put in the language of Christianity, and that they very loudly profess their own faith. Um, and then you have like similar figures out west, like Vincent James Fox in Idaho, who is also like this, um, who like is very explicit about wanting to make America like a Christian government, a Christian nation, this very far right version. Mastriano is part of that. And he has all of these crazy like acolytes and prophets around him, these kind of snake oil salesmen around him who are pushing this very particular brand of Christian nationalism. So a week prior to the rally in Harrisburg that I was at, he held a rally in Chambersburg with Donald Trump Jr. And one of the people that Mastriano invited to speak was this guy named Lance. I'm gonna fuck up his last name. I think it's Wallenhue or something. Um, but he is like I cannot describe like what a snake oil salesman he is, and like he is a self-described prophet. He is like a literal prayer coin salesman, who has talked about calls Biden the Antichrist, and that's who Mastriano is decided to kind of hitch his wagon to, and bring on the campaign trail with him.
I
Um,
want to, I want to, I want to add an addendum here. When they call Biden an antichrist, they don't mean it in like the cool Dark Brandon way.
no. Yes, precisely. They mean it in the very, very literal sense. Like I think like when you hear Mastriano talk sometimes, like you can tell that he really does think he has direct line to God. Like he thinks he talks to God, and he thinks that he is on a mission as the gubernatorial candidate for this very important state in this kind of God destined country that is America. He's on a mission to be part of reclaiming that country for God. Um, so yeah, I mean it's like you sound like sometimes it's hard to get across because it's so crazy. Um, and I think like this is kind of always the problem. It's just you kind of can't scream loud enough about how crazy it is.
Right. I feel like obviously the entire Republican Party, like the entire right as a whole, is obviously driven by their quote unquote Christian values. But I feel
Mm,
like the out and out Christian nationalists like Doug Mastriano do look at it a little bit differently. Like it's not like they're like guided by what they were taught in school at
mm,
church or whatever. It's like actually they're what they live by 24/7 and think everyone else should live by too.
yeah.
It's yeah.
Well, it's so, and I'm going to be going to Pennsylvania in the next couple of weeks to kind of dive deeper into Mastriano's Christian nationalism. And I mean, it's something I've been thinking about a lot lately. And like, I'm from Central PA. I'm from his district. I grew up going to church. And like, I think like this specific brand of Christian nationalism, like just conjures up for me, at least, like a lot of like, you know, growing up, I've always felt like the people that kind of profess their faith the loudest are often have the least authentic faith, and are using that faith as a cover for very cruel and self-serving purposes. And I think he has used his Christian nationalism to, kind of ascend his own profile, and as a means of like, and we haven't gotten into the rally yet, but like kind of like the cruelty of the rally and the cruelty of this movement, especially when it pertains to the way it talks about trans people and immigrants, is just really horrifying, and not like, I'm not like a religious person or whatever, but is not in keeping with, I think, the message of a lot of people of faith.
Right, and that's the best case scenario, because also another thing that usually drives this sort of loud and out profession of their Christianity is some skeletons in the closet that they don't want. But that's not everybody, so I'm not going to
Yeah.
speculate. But that does often become discovered in these sorts of people. Again, not Mastriano, but people like him. So who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah. Well,
Maybe you'll have a really interesting report coming out.
yeah, yeah. I mean, hopefully. I mean, I feel like the most famous story about that is that who was the guy in Idaho, the senator back in the day, that was like a huge homophobe, but then got caught in the bathroom. Do you remember that
Oh,
story?
oh my! It became like a ongoing joke throughout the. I can't remember his
Yeah.
name now. Oh my god! I feel like if
I mean,
I
I can't remember. We'll figure it out. Idaho. I'm gonna Google it real quick.
Larry Craig.
So, Larry Craig. There it is. Um, yeah, but I think that's a good example of that. I don't remember the details of that story too much. Also, it's probably kind of like a fucked up sex thing. There's layers to that story. Anyway.
Yeah, yeah. So do you think that because you have another piece on, and I gotta ask, I'm assuming you've been familiar with Mastriano for way longer than the rest of the country has been familiar with him because you grew
Yeah,
up in the area.
yeah. I mean, every time I go home, there's Mastriano signs everywhere. He recently opened a kind of campaign headquarters in Gettysburg, where I'm from. So yeah, I've been aware of him for a while. Yeah,
Right.
and
And so
also like he was, yeah, he had kind of made a name for himself up at the U.S. Army War College, which is in Carlisle. I think there's also, sorry, this is a bit of a tangent, but he is like a PhD in history or whatever, and like specializes in military history. He wrote some account of World War One, which was just widely disputed and slammed by European historians. So I think he's on top of, he's also a sham historian, basically, which
right.
isn't a surprise. Yeah.
Yeah, these guys love rewriting history to fit their modern day right wing beliefs.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
to call it modern day too, like it's modern day for what represents them, but the actual beliefs are not modern at all.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, do you think that plays into, because you have this piece about how he has a big secret regarding who
Mm,
he really wants to, and he won't share who his Secretary of State pick would be. And this is
right.
important because this is the person who basically oversees Pennsylvania's elections. Now, is this because you think that? I mean, it's got to be, but I want to hear from you, just to be clear. It's because he's got someone really extreme in mind, whether it be a religious fanatic like those prophets you say he has surrounding him, or a
Mhm.
straight up like 2020 election denier.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, he like basically, I think he told Steve Bannon once, that I forget what the exact quote was. I'm trying to find it now, but he basically said that like, I'm gonna put um, a voting reform minded individual into that office, which in Mastriano parlance means, someone that believes in the big lie fully. Um, and so, yeah, me and my colleague Travis Waldron at HuffPost kind of looked into who those candidates might be, and kind of everyone in Pennsylvania has kind of the same guesses. Mastriano slipped up once and referred to this. And by the way, I should back up for a second. Pennsylvania is a little weird in that the governor gets to appoint the Secretary of State, which has like a lot of power over the election and how it's run. So obviously, come 2024, it's extreme. I know this is kind of the heart of the Mastriano story, which is that like the reason he is such a threat is that come 2024, if the election comes down to Pennsylvania and he's governor, he will throw it to Trump or DeSantis. He will not. He would completely disregard, what the actual outcome is, and will devise some scheme to put his person in place. Um, so that's why his candidacy is an emergency on top of a lot of emergencies. But so some of the people that he has that people think it will be is Tony Shoup. He's the co-founder of Out of the Vote PA, which is kind of just like a allegedly grassroots election denial group that like has kind of done some kind of sham voting audits, kind of like they did in Arizona. And then there's the what's your face, Jenna Ellis, the former Trump advisor, and then Ivan Raiklin, another kind of former Trump circle people. So it's basically everyone that kind of believes in the big lie 100%. So it's a deeply concerning prospect.
Right, right. We've been hearing about all these, these QAnon candidates running for like Secretary of State all across the country.
Right.
In Pennsylvania's case, like I didn't know that, but in Pennsylvania's case, it now makes sense why like Doug Mastriano was their pick for governor,
Yeah.
because it wasn't really like big picture in terms of like running like the state of Pennsylvania. The big picture for them, I really do think, like you said, is that Secretary of State choice to then throw Pennsylvania to whoever the Republican candidate is in 2024.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is,
It's scary.
folks. Yeah,
Can you imagine the chaos that would cause, like the turmoil? It'd be fucking nuts. Yeah.
right, right. Which is also why it's important that like this doesn't happen in other states too, because like odds are there probably will be some really messed up Secretary of State in one of these, in at least one of these states. And if let's say one of these states is thrown, I mean, it would still be crazy. But if
Yeah.
there's enough to stop it from actually changing the outcome of the presidential election, then it wouldn't be as off the wall.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so let's now talk about the Gab connection, because
Yeah.
this is how I first mostly learned about Mastriano, because I thought this was insane. I mean, and you did great reporting on this, and the idea that an actual Republican candidate, a Republican Party candidate would, yes, we all know they have these crazy beliefs and everything, but I feel like a lot of them know to stay away from Gab, if only for like the PR media, like how it would look.
Yeah, man.
Um, yeah, tell us about his connections with Gab. And it's not just like, oh, he has a profile on there. We're talking like exchange of money.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for asking about this. I think it's like the most important. I think it's one of the most important things that's come out about Mastriano this year. Um, so basically, so I want to shout out Eric Hinoki at Media Matters, who has done fantastic work on this story and on Mastriano in general. But basically, Eric kind of found out earlier this year that Mastriano's campaign had paid $5,000 to Gab for campaign consulting. Um, so I think a lot of your listeners obviously know what Gab is and know how fucked up it is. Um, but it kind of bears repeating that like Gab is a white supremacist website. It's run by a white supremacist, and especially in the Pennsylvania context, it is so like important because the Tree of Life shooter in Pittsburgh who shot up the synagogue and killed 11 people. I think that was in 2018. Um, was a Gab user and kind of announced his massacre, his pogrom on Gab. So it's something that should have special people in Pennsylvania should know what Gab is and know how shitty it is. Mastriano was paid a $5,000 consulting fee. Then I got a tip that after this fee was paid, every new user on Gab was automatically following Mastriano. And and so I tested it out myself, and I got 10 coworkers at HuffPost to sign up for Gab, and have been apologizing to them for ever since. But basically they all automatically followed Mastriano, and it was pretty clear that after this payment was made, his follower count shot up. So I think I'm looking at it now. So yeah, in early April, he had 2,300 followers on Gab, and then a few months later, he had 40,000. And it seemed like Andrew Torba, the founder of Gab, was kind of pumping Mastriano up on Gab, and it seems like that's something that Andrew Torba is doing for a lot of far-right candidates across the country. There was I believe, a Rolling Stone story about that this week, which I need to look at. But I think it's really bears repeating how extreme Andrew Torba is, the founder of Gab. So he's very much in this kind of Christian nationalist mold, right? And spoke at the America First White Supremacist Conference in Florida, where Nick Fuentes, who we already talked about, was speaking, and who had organized it. It's where Marjorie Taylor Greene spoke, which was a big story for a minute. But Torba once said that we are building a parallel Christian society because we are fed up and done with the, quote, Judeo-Bolshevik one, which, is using a term, a straight up Nazi term. And he is so explicitly fucking anti-Semitic, Andrew Torba. It's crazy that Mastriano would want to get even close to him. And then after the Buffalo massacre, where a white supremacist killed, targeted black people at a grocery store, Andrew Torba implored his followers to marry and reproduce with only white people. So this is who we're talking about, the most extreme of the extreme. And Mastriano was paying him. And then, basically kind of refused to apologize, put out some kind of statement about it, saying that he renounces anti-Semitism, yada, yada, yada. But then it emerged today, there's a Media Matters story today that Mastriano accepted a $500 donation from Andrew Torba. So I think it really throws into relief, the Gab shit really throws into relief what Mastriano and his kind of crew are all about.
Right. And but however, we do have to reevaluate here that if you think about the amount that Mastriano paid Torba and then the amount Torba contributed to Mastriano, at the end of the day, Mastriano only gave Gab $4,500.
$4,000.
Right, which completely changes everything.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh my God. I mean, it's really something that he would, or really anyone would go ahead and want to openly be associated with that website. For people, again, I have covered it on this show before. And I meant to mention earlier that when you mentioned Nick Fuentes, I have covered him on this show before. And in fact, I can't remember what episode, but someone called in a year or two ago to tell me how, their friend was Nick Fuentes's roommate in college, and they had an interesting story. I don't remember all the details, but I gotta find out what episode that was. But
that's interesting you mentioned that, because we've heard from some old classmates of Fuentes as well, and there's nothing I can talk about right now, but right. It's interesting.
He's a big from long story short, he was a big old loser. Which tracks.
Yeah.
Right. But back to Gab. I mean, the idea that you would openly, to give people an understanding here, Parler, Getter, Truth Social. Everyone's familiar with them at this point. The right-wing media, social media networks and platforms that grew out of, the aftermath of the 2020 election and the January 6th insurrection that ended up kicking Trump off of all these platforms. So these right-wing platforms blew up, and one of them, Truth Social, is even owned by Trump. None of these come even they're both extreme in their own right, in their own ways, but none of them come close to how far right-wing Gab is.
Yeah, man. Yeah, no, it's extremely fucked. It's like, and I want to emphasize again, like especially in the Pennsylvania context, like the massacre in Pittsburgh was very much like a kind of Gab massacre. Like that's where he announced it. That's where he was sharing memes beforehand about classic anti-Semitic tropes about Jews bringing immigrants into the country. This was during one of kind of Trump's big kind of manufactured panics, and Fox News manufactured panics about one of the migrant caravans, which obviously got a lot of traction on Gab, and then we had a massacre.
Right.
So yeah, fuck that shit. I covered the synagogue, that massacre, and it's one of the most horrible things I've ever covered. And I think that's why it's very important to stress how extreme Mastriano is. The fact that he would associate himself with that is, it should be. It's why I think, and what I've been trying to get across in the article is that his candidacy really is kind of like the biggest emergency in American politics. Even if he is, even if he's having his rally on Saturday was a bust, even if he's down in the polls, I think it's important to kind of remain vigilant and keeping an eye on him. And then it's still, even if he's down 10 points, that means he still has support of that much of Pennsylvania, which is deeply concerning as well.
Right. So to end here, let's just go full circle here and get back to that
Sure.
rally that you attended this weekend. We already laid down what a failure it was from an attendance standpoint, but who did attend? Were there some names that, or were these just regular, ordinary Republican voters? Were these figures within the various right wing movements, any influential conservative commentators, militia groups, right wing gangs or whatever, or who was there?
Sure. Yeah. So that's kind of been my whole beat these last few years, is basically going to rallies and trying to identify the figures there. And there weren't so it was such a small rally, but there was some interesting people there. So the whole thing was organized by this guy, Michael Dano, who is a Uber Lyft driver in Philly, who met Mastriano at a reopen rally, a kind of COVID denial rally in 2020. Also, hard to overestimate how much of kind of Mastriano coalition was built out of anti-mask shit and anti-lockdown shit.
Right.
So Dano was the organizer.
That's probably the easiest opening for regular people who may not be integrated into the far right movements. I mean, everyone was affected by it. Everyone's got opinions on it, and the people who really hated that shit, that's the one issue voter of, if you hated that and promised never to have it happen again, then I'm on your team and I don't care what the rest of your politics are.
Yeah, man, exactly. I think we're still coming to terms with what a mass right-wing radicalization event the pandemic was, because it kind of opened people, it was an introduction to a lot of far right shit for a lot of people. And so yeah, at any rate, Michael Dano was the organizer. He was the first person I met there. As soon as I arrived, he was bringing chairs up the steps, and he asked, and I told him I was a journalist, and he called me a shark circling the waters. And it was kind of in the spirit of banter or whatever, but and I played nice. And then the first other people I saw there were a contingent from a group called the South Central Pennsylvania Patriots, which are very clearly like a kind of militia group or militia adjacent group. They had like the 3%er patch on their arm. And I mean, I didn't see guns on them. I'm sure they probably had guns. I don't know. I don't want to speculate.
Right.
And then there was also a character named Jeremy Oliver, who is a very close associate of Mastriano, who was wearing a Project Veritas hat, and who the Mastriano campaign paid, I think, like $80,000 for some kind of consultation or like media, and he seems to kind of show up to campaign rallies and be a videographer. It was actually kind of a funny scenario because Jordan Klepper from The Daily Show was at this rally. So like the media contingent there was me, Jordan Klepper, and like a guy from the Times and a few local reporters. But
Oh,
Jordan
hold on.
Klepper was like,
You said 50 people attended and just named 10 media people.
I know. So the 50 is not including the media, to be fair.
Okay. Oh, 60 attendees. Whoa. Again, yeah. Just like the 4,500, this puts everything in a new light.
New light. And also maybe my count was off. I think the Times said there were 60 people, but I thought there was 50. But at any rate, Jordan Klepper was like going up to rally attendees and trying to talk to them and do his, his whole shtick, Daily Show shtick. And at one point, Jeremy Oliver kind of came over and kind of inserted himself and kind of made clear that this interview was over and like not to talk to Jordan Klepper. And then I noticed Jeremy Oliver like following Jordan Klepper around all day, like and following his like camera crew around all day. Yeah, a weird scene. And then there was also like a smattering of like kind of state legislature candidates, like kind of far right candidates. Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about this, but like a state representative that was there, who's like a Mastriano ally, admitted for the first time to receiving a federal subpoena in regards to January 6th, because like I think a bunch of state House reps were involved in Mastriano's scheme to set up these fake electors. So that was something that happened. So there was like a lot of state House reps there, and people running in kind of like down ballot campaigns. And then Mastriano didn't show up for like 2 hours. And when he did, he gave like a kind of typical stump speech. I think one of the more striking moments was when he referenced Ron DeSantis's Martha's Vineyard stunt, and laughed and then said, as governor, he would use, quote, my Pennsylvania State Police to send immigrants to Biden's house in Delaware. But then it ended. Mastriano rushed away before he could talk to any press, because Mastriano doesn't really talk to the press. And apparently, I didn't see this, but apparently one of his security detail like kind of pushed aside a local reporter who was trying to ask Mastriano if he would accept the results if he lost. And then after Mastriano left, there was a kind of a very sad scene that I tried to discuss in my article, which is that Michael Dano, the organizer, put on the song. Do you remember that Toby Keith song, Courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue, from like after 9/11? That like kind of very jingoistic.
I do, yeah. Yes.
Yeah, because we'll put a boot in your ass because it's the American way. That one. So he played that on the speaker twice while they unveiled this kind of like 50-foot flag, and then just stood holding it and like around the flag and just kind of waving it up and down for like 5 minutes, like silently, kind of like they're like preschoolers playing that like parachute game. And then they all left. And then I went and watched the end of the Penn State game.
Which again, the reason why there wasn't 10,000
people there. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, No, go ahead.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, it was just like, I was kind of under the impression that it would be a big rally. Like people, I think, had into like observers, like not only like kind of right-wing observers, but like maybe down the middle observers or people on the left were kind of anticipating this to be a big rally because it's in Harrisburg, it's in the capital. It's, only 6 weeks before the election. But at the end of the day, it was just a complete bust, and kind of one of the sadder things I've covered. Still scary, but sad.
Right. And I think, the takeaway for people listening to this after, of course, learning about Doug Mastriano, because he probably isn't, well, maybe he will, but let's go off the fact that if he loses, he probably doesn't just disappear. He probably sticks around and remains a figure, at least in Pennsylvania, if not on a larger scale, like you had mentioned earlier, where you could see him making like a right-wing media play after this, if he loses. But of course, if we don't want him to be Pennsylvania governor, no need to, freak out and go, because it's not looking good. But you have to make sure that not looking good outlook actually comes to fruition and actually doesn't look good. That doesn't just not look good, but just isn't good. Like he loses. So all you got to do is, if you live in Pennsylvania, is go and vote in November. And if you don't live in Pennsylvania, let people who do live in Pennsylvania to go and vote in November. And then that way we could reconvene day after the election and look back at this episode and say, at least for now, we didn't have to worry. Look at that.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It's gonna be a wild ride. That election day is gonna be nuts. It's also obviously like Mastriano is part of there's all these far right candidates across the country like him. So it's gonna be quite a day watching of him and Vance and Masters and all these people can do anything.
Right. And of course the Dr. Oz.
Oh, and of course Dr. Oz, yeah.
I mean,
both from New Jersey, by the way. Oz and Mastriano.
Mastriano's from Jersey.
Yeah. I think there was a story in the Inquirer last week that he only gave up his voter registration in Jersey a few years ago or something. I think he's lived in Pennsylvania for over 10 years at least, but maybe 20. But yeah, he's also from New Jersey.
Interesting. Yeah. I always knew that growing up in New York, that South Jersey and PA had this affinity for each other, but I didn't realize so many New Jersey Republicans actually thought they were Pennsylvanians for real. That's news to me.
Yeah. I mean, a new phenomenon.
Chris Mathias, senior reporter at HuffPost. All the links to Chris's reports on Mastriano are in the description on the public Patreon page and in the description of the YouTube link, and will be in the description of the podcast episode when this goes up as a podcast. Chris, thank you so much for joining me today. And please take the time right here to promote your social media, where people can find you on social media, and then B, if you'd like to promote any upcoming pieces or anything else, feel free to do that as well.
Oh, thanks, Matt. This has been a real pleasure, man. Thanks for having me. So you can follow me at Let's Go Mathias on Twitter. And just keep an eye on HuffPost. I'm going to be back in Pennsylvania working on a feature about Mastriano this month. And I have a couple other very interesting far-right stories coming out in the next week or two that you should keep an eye on. But thanks, guys. Thanks, Matt. This was awesome.
Looking forward to those upcoming pieces. Big fan of your work on the far right. Thanks so much for joining me tonight. Have a great night, and hope to have you back on again. I was talking to you before we went live, and I was like, wait, how did I not have Chris on earlier at some point? It's your first appearance here, but it will definitely not be the last.
I really appreciate that, man. I look forward to the next one. Thank you, dude.
Awesome. Take care. Have a great night.
You too, man.
Bye. All right, folks. We are going to go into the second half of the show where we will take your calls. We will read your super chats. We will read your Twitch chats or whatever. We'll read it all. But first, patreon.com/Matt Binder to support this show. This is the first month where I think we will not be on an upwards trajectory since I started the Patreon page a few years ago. A number of people have reached out to me and said they had to cancel because they lost their jobs or were having financial difficulty, and we're hoping to be back when things get better. But it seems to all be hitting people at once, which makes me wonder what's going on. Is this just happening to my audience, or is this a look at something broader coming down the pike? So if you you know, if you canceled, please don't feel bad or anything. You need to take care of yourself, your family first. Come back when you can if you'd like. But if you are financially fine and have some disposable income and we're wondering when would it be a good time to join the Patreon page for Matt to support his shows, both Doomed and the Scam Economy, I would say this month would be a pretty good month. So maybe we could do the ultimate comeback in these last few days of September, and have that upward trajectory continue. So if you can, patreon.com/Matt Binder. With your support, I'm looking to grow the show. Your support goes to paying off, hosting and equipment costs. I would like to bring someone on board to help create more content and disperse the content we're already creating on more mediums. So if you can, join patreon.com/Matt Binder. Also, youtube.com/Matt Binder. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you'd like to give a one-off monetary tip, you could do so via a live chat on the live stream feed. I read all live chats in the second half of the show. Doesn't matter how many live chats there are, all live chats get read. That's this would be a good problem to have, but maybe there'll be a point where I can't read all live chats, but we're not at that point yet. And if you catch the replay of this show, you could leave a super thanks, which is the equivalent to a live chat, but it's in the comment section. What else? Oh, twitch.tv/Matt Binder. I'm also multicasting the live stream on there, so be sure to follow me on Twitch as well. And if you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, connect your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, and Amazon gives you a free Twitch Prime subscription every month. What is that? Basically, at no extra cost to you, you get to give a paid subscription to one of your favorite Twitch creators every month. Basically, Amazon pays that Twitch creator from the Amazon Prime subscription that you already pay them to begin with. So don't let it go to waste, because otherwise you're just letting Amazon keep more of your Amazon Prime subscription. Even if you don't give it to me, give it to some other worthy Twitch creator. I'm telling you, in hopes you do give it to me, but twitch.tv/Matt Binder. Just make sure you use it. And you got to manually renew it every month. That's how they get you. It's not an auto renew if you subscribe via Twitch Prime. Also, you can check out the podcast version of this show at doomedcast.com. Be sure to check out my crypto show, Scam Economy, at scameconomy.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Matt Binder. What else? Oh, be sure to leave a review on your favorite podcast platform like Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Just type in Doomed and leave a review there. It helps more people discover the show because your review helps push this show up the rankings on that platform. If you've already left the reviews for Doomed, do it for Scam Economy, and vice versa if you've already left the review for Scam Economy. And I think that's all for now. Nothing else to really promote at this time. Let me quickly, actually, if there's any Patreon subscribers to shout out. Again, it's been a very slow month. Let me give a shout out to Pointless Stick Animation, Kerry W, Jake. Thank you so much for becoming patrons over the past week. Your support is greatly appreciated. So with all that said, we are going to go into the second half of the show. And once again, fire up Skype, search Doomed Live, one word, Doomed Live together, and you'll be able to call into this program. I'm going to take a really quick break just to, refill my drink, so I don't get parched in the second half. And I'll see all you live stream viewers and you patrons in just a second. If you're only catching the free podcast version of this show that's going to go up, then this is where I say, I will see you all next time on Doomed. Today on Doomed.
Ecological collapse, corporate fascism, corporate journalism, police brutality, voter suppression, austerity economics, educate the masses, rampant homophobia,
We got our first caller. Hey, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, what's up, Matt?
Hey,
You from Jamaica?
Dave from Jamaica. How are you doing, my friend? What are we going to talk about today? I don't think you are exactly what you claim you are. I would say you're conservative. What makes you a liberal?
I'm pro-Green New Deal. Are you? Yes, really? Absolutely. No, I have watched the show. I've seen you completely come out and get really mad at
We are back. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second half of the show. My name is Matt Binder. I'm going to take your calls, read your super chats, your Twitch comments. So yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. And oh yeah, I got a second monitor now, which makes things a lot easier because I'm still getting used to it, but I'm able to see all the windows necessary to run the stream. Let's take the first call right now. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Tokyo Hans. Go ahead and put me up while I stop the stream here.
Hey, Tokyo Hans. How are you doing?
Doing great. Just enjoyed a wonderful lunch, so I'm nice and full.
Oh, what'd you eat?
I had katsudon. It's a fried pork cutlet on rice, and it's like mixed up with some egg and stuff.
Damn, man, you're making me hungry. I think I got some leftover pizza in the fridge. I gotta.
Please send me some. I need some pizza too.
So what would you like to talk about, Tokyo?
Just a quick update, real quick, on Abe's funeral.
Did that go down?
Got it. Yeah, that was the day before yesterday. Kamala showed up and a couple other people. Nothing really surprising. They had huge protests during the funeral and everything. There's like 15,000 people that came from just normal people and people from the opposition party. I know 15,000 doesn't sound like a high number, but in Japan that is huge. Usually, if you see a protest, it's like 50 people or something. So. It was a really, really big event. The police were out full force. It was the one day I had to go to the office again, and there's just like police all over the place. And it's just weird seeing the news with the protesters and everything. Like some people getting a little heated, but when you see the police taking them away, they're gently taking them by the arm and putting them into a big bus and everything, and they get released an hour later after they cool down or whatever. It's just completely different than what you're seeing in Iran or in Russia right now.
Right. Well, that's a good thing. If they're gonna crack down, then they should treat these people with respect because they are human beings.
That's exactly.
Yeah. So Biden didn't go though. Interesting.
Yeah, Biden didn't end up going, but Modi went from India, and
I'm sure they were best buddies for reasons more than it's just another world leader we gotta go pay our respects to.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Yeah, but yeah, and I know Abe was really pushing for like a lot of like agreements and like big alliances and everything with India as well. So Modi had to show up, and yeah, Biden, he's doing his other things. So yeah, Kamala showed up. She did something at least, I guess. But yeah, like at the end, they did like the end of the polling and everything, and over 50% was like against having the state funeral and everything. I know that's very vague, but Japanese media is extremely vague when it comes to, giving opposition news and everything like that. So I can really find a hard number, but it could be 50.1% for all I know. But they did give a hard number. 65% of people in Japan were completely against having the funeral, period, and really angry at the LDP for spending so much on it. So you can see that.
I think I
probably gonna
gotta.
hurt them in the future.
I think I gotta consider a move to Japan after hearing how. Again, I am amazed at in the West, in the United States especially, a world leader, a politician dies in a way assassinated. All of a sudden, he's canonized as a saint, and everything bad that this person did goes away, and everyone talks about what a great person they were, even if they weren't. Whereas in Japan, the Japanese are going, "Hey, the assassin had a point." It's amazing.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's amazing.
Yeah. No, it's especially like how I mentioned before, like with the whole like non-religion thing going on here in Japan. That was a big thing about it, of Abe's connections with the Unification Church and everything. So yeah, the people are just not having it. And like another big shady thing that's happening is usually when like a religious group or like cult or whatever does something bad here in Japan, it gets banned outright. It's pretty strict over here on that sort of thing. But the Unification Church isn't getting banned for some reason. It's like still going on. It's still like, has a lot of influence in the government and everything. And it's actually getting people more and more pissed off about it. So I said I don't think that anything was going to change than last time I called in, but I'm starting to change my mind on that. I think it's going to have some real effect in the future for the LDP.
Right, interesting. So what comes next, do you think? Do you think that they're going to do you know what at least the opposition, the protesters have planned next? Are they going to keep on this, or is this just like an anti-Abe type situation so far, with like the protests mostly being about the money spent and the whole service going down to begin with?
Yeah, I think they're just going to keep nailing this down on the waste of government spending on this huge event and everything. I mean, even like the people who went to go see the viewing of his ashes and everything, only 20,000 people showed up. I mean, if you think about it, this is supposed to be a public viewing, and only 20,000 people show up to this big event of some like a big leader like this. It's really small, like compared to like the other world leaders that came in and everything. And I mean, sure, it's more than the 15,000 that protested it, but I mean, compared to the rest of the public view, it's just going to go down. I think it's not going to be a huge loss for the LDP, but they're going to get cut down quite a bit. Right now, like I mentioned before, they have like 65% of the power in government and everything. But I think they're going to get shaved down to like the lower 50s or something. So, and that's going to be really hard for them to just maintain their policies and everything.
Interesting. Well, Tokyo, thank you so much for the update. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about?
If just a quick thing on crypto news here in Japan, if possible.
You don't even got to ask, please.
Yeah, well, the big banks here are kind of getting together and starting up their own crypto coin now. And it's just a project at the moment. They're calling it the DCJPY, basically the digital coin Japanese yen. And they're going to link it to the market price of 1 gram of gold according to the yen. So they're linking the crypto coin to gold, basically here, which goes completely against everything, which seems kind of like the opposite of what crypto coin is supposed to be. But still, crypto is not that popular here at all. Like compared to like Japan and India and China, I know India has like a 9% transfer rate in crypto, and China has like 7% transfer rate in crypto, but Japan still only has like 4% or something like that. And it's really not that popular. And one of the major things is that, one of the two major things. One is it's still a big cash economy here. Nobody really uses like credit cards or debit cards or anything here. Everything is like still like direct cash or through like cash cards and whatnot. And the second thing is they have a big, loyalty point system in Japan. Like one of the bigger companies, Rakuten, basically if you spend like a dollar on something, they give you like a penny point or something. And you can kind of spend it on like whatever. So if you spend like $100 on something, you get like $10 basically.
Damn.
And you can buy like sushi at a shop or whatever. And yeah, they give out like billions and billions of dollars in just free stuff basically. So it's not, it's just, free money basically going through the loyalty points and everything. So crypto just isn't, in my opinion, isn't a viable thing in Japan because the companies here are just so good to their customers. So it's, but yeah, they're going to try. The big banks are signing up to this. They claim it. They claim it's to like fight inflation and everything because right now the Japanese yen is absolute crap. But I don't see how that's going to fight.
That's what they always. That's what they always argue, that it's going to fight inflation, and then of course it crashes worse than fiat currency going through inflation.
Yeah, exactly. So and all they're doing is just linking it to 1 gram of gold in yen and everything. But how is that going to fight inflation? I just don't see it, and I honestly don't think it's going to become popular at all. Or if it does, they're just going to link it to like a customer loyalty point system, like I just mentioned through the Rakuten thing. So it's just going to become another, I don't want to call it cryptocurrency, but digital currency here. So I just don't see it really going anywhere.
Right. I mean, the more you tell me about Japan, I mean, they hate crypto. They turned against Abe. I mean, damn, you guys got it going on there right now.
Yeah, sure. They've got their problems, but so far it's great over here. I recommend everybody to move over here. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it's expensive though.
The pizza's crap though. That's the only thing.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
It actually isn't that. It's not that expensive. That's a complete and utter myth. I just bought a home here in the middle of Tokyo, the most expensive city in the world, and it's way cheaper than living in LA where I used to live. So anybody can do it, honestly.
All right, maybe. But isn't the trip over there expensive though? Just getting there to begin with. I mean, I guess it's just that's a one-time price anyway. But
yeah, pretty much. The way I did when I first came here 15 years ago, I worked for as an English teacher. Like teaching in the elementary schools and whatnot, and junior high schools. And they pay for all your paperwork and stuff. It's just the initial flight that you got to pay for. And then, usually they take care of your housing and everything, or help you with the housing and everything. So
you've been there for a while.
Here for cheap if you have. Yeah, I've been here for a long time. So.
Are you a citizen?
So basically, no. I'm an Austrian and Mexican citizen, but not Japanese. My wife is Japanese though.
Whoa, that's a very unique combo there. Austrian and Mexican citizen living in Tokyo, Japan. That's cool.
Yeah, and my grandmother was Italian, and my other grandmother was German, so it's quite mixed in my family. Thanksgivings were fun in LA.
That day, wow. All right, yeah, there you go. Tokyo Hans, have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you. You have a wonderful evening, and goodbye to the chat too. Take it easy, everybody.
Take care. All right, folks, let's go to the next call. And of course, had a few people on the line who I just lost. Call back in. I take your calls as soon as they come back in. Let's see this. Next caller's calling in right now. Here we go. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello.
It's Cameron. Hey, Cameron, how you doing?
Hi. Hello. Sorry.
Is everything okay?
Oh, bloody damn it. Oh.
Uh-oh.
I'm sorry. I was trying to find my bloody lighter in here. Okay, I wanted to call in and try to talk to you about something that happened to me.
Are you talking with an accent, Cameron?
Well, see, that's the thing. Is that what happened was the original complaint actually was fairly reasonable.
What
Or
are you
not
talking
complaint, I
about?
should say, request.
Hold on, hold on. You
Your
just started.
father requested that I try to call in and try to do a sort of Jordan Peterson impression, but I told him, no, I don't. I just can't. I don't think that's from a. You see, the thing is, it's from a particular part of Canada that around the Great Lakes area, where if my history is correct, and it is, they started talking like this to confuse Americans. And then he has an added layer of something going on top that I just can't do. But if I thought, I might be able to get some of his mannerisms down, and I might be able to. I think I understand both where he's coming from and where his possible audience is coming from. My father, and this is true, my father passed away when I was a young man. So what we're looking for are generations of such men where young men, young boys, and adolescents and teens, and without the structure, the traditional structure of the father figure, are looking towards these father figures to give them advice, and that what happens is that ends up being very dangerous, because you'll end up listening to someone like that, and that's not very good, is it?
That one right when you went high right there, that was very Jordan
Oh,
Peterson.
maybe I am actually maybe it's when he needs to get angry.
Yeah. I think you need
But
to go. You need to get a little bit more
he's also
Kermity.
so worried.
A little bit more Kermity. You have the tone and like the pitch, but something you need to get a little bit more Kermity with the accent. Like Kermit the Frog here.
You see, but that's just something that some of us weren't built genetically to do, to be able to make those sounds, to be able to make those types of words come out of our mouths. It's not something that was designed. Like, it's a new thing that everyone should be able to decide what way that they sound and whose voice that they're going to try to imitate. But it's not genetically, and the science isn't backing this up. And in my training of all the subjects that I know about, I've never come across, and I've done and people have read and written books about this. But my main point about the event that happened and what was said to me was come on your show and try to do a Jordan Peterson impression, and that if I did that, then all of the other people would come on and they would also do it, and we would surprise you with I don't know, 10 Jordan Peterson impressions in a row. But the main point that I wanted to make here was that when we start trusting, when the dynamic of society has collapsed, that we start having these young men looking for father figures to give them advice, we end up having people filling the space of that advice and just giving frankly bad advice that shouldn't be trusted. So when you go to people like Alan Binder and they tell you to do a Jordan Peterson impression on the show, and you want that advice because you want a father figure, well, that's just bloody ridiculous, and I don't think that. And I'm an example of that, and I know I'm wrong, and I apologize, but that doesn't mean that I'm incorrect.
Well, I'll say that content-wise, I think you were on point, and I think the Canadian accent was very good at points. I think you got it pretty close, Cameron. I think you did good.
As a lifelong Canadian, I've never once heard anyone speak like that.
Really? I mean, I that's honestly how it sounds. You don't sound like that.
I think
but
that
a lot
it's
of
a bit
Canadians
that
do
the
sound
kids
like
in the
that. to
hall
me.
invented.
You think the kids in the hall invented that accent?
Yeah,
No. I've definitely heard.
Prove it. I'm gonna drop it now. Prove to me, and I challenge anyone out there to prove to me that the kids in the hall did not invent that accent, and find footage of people with that accent.
I mean, if you listen to Bret Hart promos, especially from the '90s, I feel like the Canadian accent really came out in the Bret Hart promos.
Yeah,
And
he was in League of Kids of the Hall. This was a thing that came out in like the late 80s,
Bret
80s
Hart
and the
was-
90s.
the Hart Foundation was in cahoots with the kids. All right, I believe it. I'll go with that. It was all a diabolical plan to make Canadians. Vince McMahon wanted to make
the second
Canadians.
Kids in the Hall thing, where
Right.
you get to show they all see all their penises.
Well, what about South Park's Terrence and Phillip, which obviously that was a real accent and not an embellished one to make fun of Canadians.
That is a specific Great Lakes accent that
Is it?
I don't know where it's like
Terrence.
Windsor, I think. Anyway,
Oh.
and you know, I'll let you go. It was glad to see Kanagawa Ken
Can I ask you a quick question, Cameron?
as an inside
Do you-
baseball
are-
joke.
are you- are you-
Japanese?
Oh, are you? What time is it where you are again? I forget. Are you on the West Coast or are you on the East Coast?
I'm
or-
in Atlantis time, baby, right in the middle of the ocean.
Oh, okay. So what time is it there?
11:30.
11. Wait, how is it an hour? What? Wait, where are you?
I'm in Atlantic Canada.
Atlantic Canada. Wait, there's somewhere where it's an hour. Are you? What?
Have you heard of Newfoundland?
I didn't know this. I'm learning something new today. I didn't know this was a thing.
Look at Newfoundland. They have like a 30-minute time. They have a very special time zone, which I think that.
Oh my
it's
God!
very
It's an
ballsy of
hour
them
and a
to
half
think they
ahead.
should allowed to have that.
What is this? What is this blasphemy here? An hour and a half ahead?
Yeah. Do you realize how late awake I have been staying to watch your show?
I didn't
And,
know.
like,
I thought
do
it was the
these
same time at least.
Scheduled-
So wait, are you in are you in Newfoundland or are you in New Brunswick?
God no.
Oh, Nova Scotia?
I think David Slavic from the Michael Brooks show lives in Newfoundland now.
damn.
But I've
that's,
met Meth Man, and that's
does it get cold where you are?
Huh? Does it
get-
get cold where I live in Canada? Well, I live in igloos and fucking
Does it get
eat
especially
beavers
cold?
and talk like Jordan Peterson.
Does it get especially cold where you are?
It gets it's not compared to some parts out west. It gets pretty cold.
All right. All right.
Like the Victoria's Secret Company, when they came up here to, this is a true story, when they came up here to build their Victoria's Secret buildings, they wanted to do it according to the plan that they had used to build all the same buildings, like cookie cutter plan across North America. But the problem that they did not anticipate was that they would get, using the roof that they wanted to have, they could not account for the snow weight, so it would collapse the building. So the carpenters had to correct them.
Interesting. Yeah, I gotta say, I thought
I know a guy who built all the Victoria's.
I'm actually like still sort of shocked. I'm 36 years old, and for 36 years, I thought that Eastern Time was the latest of the, or technically the
You
earliest.
just talked to a guy living in Japan.
Of
I
no
guess that's
of the
earlier
of
than
the
it was
of
then.
the time zones on this side of the world. of the North American and South American time zones. I thought Eastern time was the earliest you can get on this side of the world. Thank you very much, Cameron, making me think
That'd
that.
be weird for a person in California to be hearing that.
What? No, I mean the other way
Be
then.
much
The
earlier right
latest.
now in
Yeah, you
California,
know
wouldn't
what
it?
I mean. You know what I mean. Well, I mean, in about an hour and a half, it'll be earlier here, right? It'll be midnight here, and wow. Well, first of all, I'm still completely shocked. Well, what I was getting at was, and I don't even remember what I was getting at. Oh, the question I was going to ask you, Cameron, was, do you wear your nice suit clothes, like your button-up shirt and tie, all day, or do you put it on just to call into the show?
I put the tie on.
All right.
Nothing wrong with a button-up shirt. You can button it down, loosen it out, roll up the sleeves, do whatever you want, and you're still prepared to look classy when the time comes. Not like you and your punk rock shirts that eventually expire from usage because you found out something about one of the guys in the band, and now you can't wear your shirts anymore. Guess what?
That's true.
We already know about the people that made my shirts. They're bad people.
Right. Well, thank you for the call, Cameron. It's always a pleasure. You taught me. You legitimately taught me something new today. That there's somewhere in Canada that's an hour and a half ahead of me.
Yeah, it's St. John's, Newfoundland. I's the bye that builds the boat, and I's the bye that sails her, and I's the bye that catches the fish and takes them home to Liza.
There we go. Have a great, what time is it there now? Oh, have a great rest of your night. What's left of it, because it's almost morning for you.
Oh, I never sleep.
Oh, okay. Wouldn't
Sometimes
surprise
sleep.
me, actually, sometimes. Take care, Cameron. Oh, my God. All right, that was great. That was a great call. Let's go to the next call. Oh, just missed them. Call back in. Remember, you have to call in, and it's gonna ring a lot, and it might hang up because there's no waiting line. All right, here's someone new. This is not who is waiting, but I'll just take them as they come in. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, it is Kowalski.
Hey, Kowalski.
I'm trying to, this isn't,
you
it.
you were just on. You were just on. What'd you do? Why'd you mess with a good thing? Oh, are you in a car? Are you in a car right now?
No, that is the combine.
Oh, we got farm time with Kowalski. Oh, wait a minute. Let's pull you up full screen here. Why can't I do this? Wait, no. There we go. Ooh.
Yeah. So
Wow.
that's the combine. It's harvesting the beans. I'm pulling the grain cart, which you can see a little bit better through my camera, which signal is getting really poor right now. But yeah, this is what everybody out in the Great Plains is doing. Every single person.
That. Wow. Is this the time period for the combine? That's when the combine's getting out there. Why? What are you doing with that right now?
So this is a grain cart. Right now, the combine is cutting the beans, thrashing it, and then separating the grain out. And if you can see, depending on if this stays clear enough, he is filling my wagon.
There's a camera out there connected to the combine that gives you a view from that angle.
Yep. That way I can somewhat load myself until he decides that he needs to stop. And yeah, that's over there, if you can see it, semi, and eventually I'll fill that.
Wow. Damn, man, this farming stuff is crazy.
Yeah, you got to play with the big toys. Then I can turn on my lights when I get away from the combine. So, yeah.
How long does this whole process take?
We will be harvesting until probably the last week in October, first week in November.
Hmm. When do you call it a night tonight? How much longer you got to stay out there for?
If I had to guess, we'll probably be out for another hour or two.
Doing the same
Then,
thing over and over again?
yep. And then we will be back up here by 8 o'clock. You have to
Damn.
wait a little bit later in the morning to for the dew to get off all this stuff. Otherwise, it's too tough.
Ah, and then you're out there for what 16 hours or something like that?
Yeah, until probably about 10 at night. So yeah, 16.
Wow. Damn. Do you eat lunch out there in the field?
Yep, I brought my lunch pail.
Oh, you really do? I was just being. I thought maybe you, went back to the farm or something. I mean, go back to the farmhouse or something. I don't know.
Well, this is weird because, and it's becoming a bit more common due to the drastic labor shortages. Younger farms like ours will go a county away and custom harvest. So none of this is ours. We planted it and we're harvesting it and we're getting paid to do this. So this technically is not my crop.
Oh, Aaron, I forgot to tell you that.
That was the radio.
Whoa! But,
But,
who was that?
That was my brother.
Ah, and you just shut him
He's-
down.
Well, he is not a very PC friendly kind of individual sometimes. So
Oh, what he could be trying to tell you something really important. When he was like, "Hey, Aaron, I'm stuck in the combine."
no, it was the one that was in the semi. But
Help me, Aaron. I'm in the.
yeah,
I'm with the
but,
wheat.
no,
Whoa.
this is the soy. But yep, now I shut it off so I don't waste fuel for no reason. All these things shut off, and then yeah, I will be waiting here for a while. So
Damn, this I gotta say, thank you for getting us in there and letting us see the. That's crazy.
yeah, so folks, if anyone is interested right now, the going rates in the agricultural community for people to run this tractor is about $22 an hour, no benefits, 16 hours a day, and guaranteed work for about 5 weeks. So
Oh, is this that's so people, other people like I guess bigger farms hire people to come do this?
yeah, all the time. It's actually kind of sad because a lot of like the family farms can't really keep up anymore because they're not big enough. We're just in a weird, unique position to where this kind of works out. But yeah, if something doesn't change, I would imagine that this is not going to be sustainable. Actually, it's not sustainable as it is right now. Like I have a feeling that this would, if basically we're working hours that not even my grandfather had to work. So yeah, there's no way this is going to work out long term. We need like an extra 1.5 million people to enter the agricultural field, and that's not even to like begin to mention the need for like a just transition away from cereal grain agriculture to feed, the meat from livestock. But yeah, we can't get away with this unless we get more labor, which we're losing labor literally every day. So yeah.
Right.
There's a problem brewing on the horizon if you were not aware.
Yeah. Things were easier for Grandpappy Kowalski, which shouldn't be the case. Things should be getting easier for every generation down the line, but that doesn't seem to be happening. And honestly, in a lot of different fields, quite frankly, or quite generally in life as well.
Yeah, but I guess we will just keep on going. So
We'll keep on trucking, or I guess in your case, keep on combining. What would you call it?
harvesting.
Harvest.
Just
Okay.
call it harvesting.
Okay. Keep on harvesting.
All right. You guys have a good one.
Take care, Kowalski. Always a pleasure.
Same.
Take care. Bye. Damn, gonna be burning the midnight oil or whatever I guess you would call what you would do in to keep it going over there at night. Oh, we got another caller. Hey, what's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Donald. I'm calling, from my residence in New York. It's unbelievable. It's just
Oh my.
fantastic. But what I'm really wondering, Matt, what I'm really wondering here, why is it that you had on Jordan Peterson before me? Okay, I was the former president of the United States, and you're having on Jordan Peter. He's a great guy, fantastic guy. He's done a lot for a lot of people. Like my son Eric or Don Jr. They love his books, they love his talks, they love what he has to do. But what is it about me? Do you not like me? Is it something that I said? I mean, you could tell me. Feel free, tell me.
Well, Don, first of all, this is quite the amazing. Well, this is you. So, but I will say that if this was an impersonator, this is quite an amazing Donald Trump. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't been never was really a big fan of yours. Even before politics, honestly. I mean, sorry, Donald. I mean, first of all, your time in the WWE, I did not enjoy.
Or what is it? Was it, was it me being too harsh on Vince McMahon or, whatever, whoever the hell it was? I don't know. They're just people, big guys, great guys, fantastic. But, one of the things that, I make drumsticks, the world's greatest steaks. Now, I forget if you're a vegan, vegetarian, or
No,
just
no,
whatever
no.
people are calling it.
I'm a very unhealthy eater. I'm a big
Well,
fast
that's good.
food meat.
So am
Yeah,
I.
just
So
like
am I.
you. Yeah, it's where we get along. That's where I feel.
Exactly. See, we have camaraderie there. It's a big word. It's a big word. I like to say big words. And it's things like that we find the common ground. People don't find the common ground anymore, okay? I get to say we're building the wall and people say we don't need to do that. Can we at least build a fence? Is that a reasonable common ground? I could be wrong here, believe me. But it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And seeing Kowalski, seeing him out on the tractor, on the whatever it was amazing. Okay, I mean I'm never going to do that kind of work in my life, but it's amazing what some people are doing to make a living. It's great.
Right. I gotta say, you're making me rethink things. Being that my reaction to seeing Kowalski in the harvesting was pretty much the same as yours. Like, wow, this is amazing.
Exactly. It's great things that the people in the heartland, the real beating heart of America, are doing. It's fantastic. And I really want to drive one of those. You saw me in the big truck, right? You saw me in the big truck. Once, I'm beeping the horn. It was great. And, that's exactly what I want to do. That's what I want to keep doing because as well as I kept saying we're going to make America great again. Maybe I'll change it. I'll go out into the farmland and I'll say make America great again. I don't know if that's too on the nose, if that's too farmerly or whatever we're going to call it, but it's unbelievable, Matt. It's unbelievable. And I know you're saying you're not a big fan of mine. Whatever. It's okay. It's okay. Some people like me. Some people don't like me. But what I really also wonder, do you think Sam Cedar, why does he hate me? What is it about me? Okay, tell me.
Oh well, he's a Jew, obviously. So I mean,
It makes sense. What am I thinking? What am I thinking, people? It's unbelievable. That's but Matt, you have to remember, Jared Kushner is in my family. Now, not like I think he's the best, person for my daughter Ivanka, who's beautiful, by the way. But, it's truly, I think me and Sam could get along. Get us in a room, just like Steven Crowder, and say, oh, wait, that didn't happen. That didn't happen. But yeah, maybe something could happen. Who knows?
right. Someone in the chat says when you were talking about Kowalski, make America grain again, right?
Exactly.
MAGA.
That's what we can do. MAGA. It's another version of MAGA. It's just to make the grade because everyone needs grade. Okay, I need grade for my cereal. I love a good Honey Nut Cheerio or a Cinnamon Toast Crunch. I love the crunch and the cinnamon. It's a beautiful taste, fantastic taste. I only have the best cereal, but it's just that's what we need to do. We need to make America great again. We have great farms, fantastic farms. We got the pigs, we got the chickens. Okay, some people call me a pig, some people call me a chicken. I don't think I'm either. I think
You're Donald Trump.
I'm some other kind of Oh, what, Matt? What was that you said?
You're Donald Trump.
I'm Donald Trump. Exactly. Former president of the United States, Donald Trump. And,
Whoa,
you
whoa!
know,
Oh, that's how I know. You
what?
blew it. That's how I know you're not the real Donald. Former
Don't say it.
president.
Don't say
Former
it.
president.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. Former, according to the current state of things, because of the cheating, of the election stealing, of the unbelievable things that Joe Biden is doing. But believe me, Sleepy Joe asleep at the wheel. It's unimaginable. Did you see that man today? He said that where is Representative? Where's Jackie? Where's Jackie? I thought he was talking about Jackie Kennedy, but she's long gone. But he was talking about a different Jackie who died. What's he doing? Believe me, I've
Actually,
made mistakes,
I
but
thought
I'm much better than that.
I thought maybe he was just a big fan of the character from Roseanne, the hit '90s sitcom, the sister of Roseanne, Jackie, played by the great Laurie Metcalf. Maybe she was supposed to be there.
Maybe. I mean, nobody knows. Nobody knows what's going through his head, Matt. You can agree with me on that one. A lot of people agree with me. It's just things go in, things go out. Sleepy Joe. He just wants to put on his cool sunglasses. I don't even think they're that cool, and he wants to eat his ice cream. Okay, he can eat ice cream all he wants, but he's not doing what he
Do you
can
think?
do for the American people.
Do you think Joe Biden sort of had that moment today with that congresswoman who passed away, Jackie, that he was calling for? Do you think he had a moment like you had when you got off the plane about 2 years ago and you heard for the very first time that RBG passed away? Maybe Biden was up there thinking in his head, "Oh, I'm just hearing this for the very first time."
No, but he gave a condolence. He wrote something up and did it. Believe me, when I heard about Ruth Bader Ginsburg, I truly I was coming off of a fantastic rally with some of my favorite supporters. The people that Hillary Clinton called the basket of deplorables. I'll tell you what I like in my Easter basket, and it's not deplorables. It's good candy. But what it really is that people who were there at my rallies, they love me. They love me. And I came off, I'm going, to the airplane, the beautiful plane. I love flying everywhere. It's fantastic. And it was these reporters that are so mean to me, so ruthless. And one of them just says, it's Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She's died. She's died. And I sat there and I thought to myself, did she really die? And then I realized she must have. And then, I said what I said. It was not the moment like Joe Biden, Sleepy Joe. Let's be honest. He doesn't have a brain. I at least have something, I think, in my head, but I'm not going to say what it is because, I mean, should I say it? Should I say it? I'm not going to say it.
Go ahead. Go
But
say
it's
it.
just
Say
no,
it.
no. Not here, not with these people. You're not the kind of people. I want to build a relationship with you, Matt, but it's sometimes the aggression. It's the aggression that you do to me. What is it? What is it about me? It's nothing. I'm beautiful. I'm fantastic. I do a great job leading the country, something that Sleepy Joe Biden can't do. Believe me, if I was, in the White House right now, I would have said to that hurricane, "Don't go to Mar-a-Lago. Don't do it." And it would have moved magically away. That's what it would have done because it is afraid of me.
Very, very great call, my friend Donald J. Trump, who I'm assuming is now going to be a. I didn't know you listened to this show. What have you thought about my coverage of you throughout the years? By the way.
Well, believe me, I come in and out. It's like the flow of the ocean. It comes in choppy and it in down whatever you're gonna call it. And I think to myself, you've treated me very unfairly as well with the rest of the mainstream fake news media. It's unbelievable. But then again, Matt, there's a special place. There's a special place for you, and I could say it's in hell, but I also could say that it's a wonderful place because you're a very lovable person. To some people, maybe not me. We'll see about that. Maybe we can build a relationship, but I will end it here. Let other people come on the line. I thank you very much, for taking the time, Matt, to talk to me. As I said, it was insulting that you had Jordan Peterson on before me, but it's okay. We can make up these things. Maybe I'll come in. Maybe I'll call again. I don't know. It just depends on the moment. But I will say that you are an appreciated face on the Majority Report.
Well,
That's what I'll say.
I'll have to tell Sam that Trump is a avid listener. I didn't.
And maybe this Trump could call into the Majority Report. I don't know. It depends on the time, depends on the place, and maybe you'll get me into Sam's ear for him to understand that making America great again is the way to go. It's the way to go.
Folks,
well, have a good night, Matt. Have a good night.
You heard it here first. Trump refers to himself as this Trump. Thank you, caller. That was absolutely great. Hey, what's your Cameron? You calling back in? What happened? Are you all right there, buddy? Hello?
Hi. Sorry. Hello?
Oh,
Am I
wait.
talking to my vendor?
I'm sorry. It's not Cameron. Who's this?
Hi. This is Alex Jones. I've been calling because I have my internet alert set up, and I had it so that, well, I can't talk too much about it right now because certain legal things are going on, but I saw that you had a number of particularly interesting and intellectual folks, and I so appreciate that call from our former president, who I still support. And I just want
that's how I know it's not Alex
not
Jones
about
either.
your
Former
show.
president? Former president?
I have already been on record as saying that technically under the laws of the government, so to speak, as it is controlled by certain types of people. It rhymes with. I'm not gonna tell you what it. Never mind. But I just want to call in and appreciate my delivery. I'm sorry. I'm under a lot of stress right now. There's lawyers on my ass about things that I didn't do, things that I said that I did, and then, but also it doesn't matter that I did because I didn't do anyways. And yes, I've got one guy over here telling me how people are sending him death threats. I said I didn't send you those death threats, but if you keep on doing what you're doing, then I might send you those death threats because I am a true American and I am prepared to do whatever it takes in order to protect my rights as a citizen, as a man, as a family man, and a father and a patriot. But I really loved the appearance by Donald Trump and that other guy who had a very good voice and was also very handsome. Anyway,
are you talking about Jordan Peterson or Cameron, who did a Jordan Peterson impression?
Right now, due to, as I said, various conflicts with what apparently are the laws about when you're being put on trial for things. There are certain things that you can't say or disclose. So I'm going to go ahead and plead the fourth on that one. And, well, I'm going to let you go. I just want to congratulate you and let you know that now that I've noticed your show, I've noticed that you have callers on, like the great president, Donald J. Trump, true American, true businessman, true virile, sexually cunning man, prime beef cut example of a raw dogging dick swinging American that I'll be following your show much more closely, and I hope that one day you'll have me on as a guest.
Oh, I would love to. And can I ask you this? Why not have
you
me
might
on?
have to visit. You might have the phone lines that they have between the the glass partition might cause some interruptions with our next interview if you do decide to have me on as a guest. But I
Wait, hold on,
love
Alex, you realize that you're not these cases, these little court cases are civil. You're not going to jail.
They don't seem very civil to me. They seem like direct attacks on my character and on just anybody who's trying to get information out to the public that is not what the deep state wants you to think.
All right, Alex, why not? Could I come on Infowars?
Yes. All you have to do is call up my producers, and we will get you on Infowars. My producers will transcribe the call, and they will print it off for me to read on top of my desk. And then once I've done that, I will get a transcriber to transcribe what I have said as to whether or not, when, and how you shall appear on my show. And then they'll print that out, read that back to me. I'm sorry. The Percocet's hitting me real hard right now. I think I gotta go. But
thank you for calling in, Alex. Appreciate it. Yeah, nice to meet you too. Oh wow, what a great show tonight. We heard from Jordan Peterson, we heard from Donald Trump, we heard from Alex Jones. Fantastic. I see Marjorie Taylor Greene's husband has just filed for divorce. This is not a bit. Legitimately filed for divorce. Maybe we'll hear from her next too. I don't know. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Now, this is H. Ross Perot calling you from beyond the grave.
Hello, Ross Perot calling from Zombie Perot. How are you doing today?
I'm just doing great. I'm feeling great. One of the things when we talk about these famous politicians, remember, I was responsible for getting you guys Clinton. If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have had Slick Willie. That's and I just want people to know that everything that I said was right. I talked about NAFTA, the giant sucking sound from the South, and I came out of retirement to talk about the TPP and what a disaster that was. And, nobody listened to me, but eventually I was right. And, when I listen to that Donald guy, that boy ain't right, I mean, you can put your boots in an oven, but that don't make them biscuits. That man is when he dies, they're going to have to screw him into the ground. I mean, that's how crooked he is. So
I've never heard that one before. Wow, is that?
Right about now, he is as nervous as a long-tailed cat in a rocket chair factory. I mean, he is sweating bullets. I mean, because they're coming down from, but he's very slick. He's very slick, and he uses all the tricks. It's always, line this and line that. If the people were smart, they would anticipate what he's doing. They would see this. They would say, hey, he's going to do this. So what you need to do is wait until he does it, and then you just swoop in on him and, knock him out. But I don't get a lot of confidence in people these days because we are in a world in which anybody who's got a microphone can call up and have a podcast. And who has time to listen to all this stuff? I personally subscribe from Beyond the Grave to your podcast. And I think that's a wonderful thing.
Oh, they got podcasts in hell.
Oh, hell yes.
All right. Well,
it's a wonderful time down here. There's all sorts of great people down here. I'm still waiting for Henry Kissinger to join us.
Oh,
that should be soon.
I'm waiting for that too. I don't know if it's going to be soon, honestly, because it seems like he's the one guy who's able to keep on going. I don't know what he's discovered.
Well, I gotta go, but just remember, don't mess with Texas.
Thank you, Perot, sir, Mister Ross Perot, everybody. Really appreciate the call from. I think you might be the first undead caller into this program.
You could ask to talk to Kennedy. I've been asked to speak a little bit for my son, who is coming back. I just
he's on the way. He's on the way back up here.
QAnon is correct.
Oh, well, first of all, thank Perot for handing off the phone to you, because that's some late breaking news.
Ross, you are a fabulous man.
Well, I didn't say that.
So I guess it's impression night here.
Yes,
it
is. Hey, Spacco, it is. Great to hear from you. I'm assuming that letting everybody know that I just took a new call because that was obviously Ross Perot and JFK hanging out in hell.
That's great. I mean, you've got great connectivity. I tell you, must have a really good Wi-Fi down there.
It's Skype. Really, people really don't believe me when I say Skype's good. I know nobody uses it for anything else anymore but to call into this show, but Skype's good.
It has wonderful bandwidth. And a little thing I'll tell people is I sound better on Skype than I do when I call in a Majority Report. And the reason is because Skype's audio bandwidth is wider than the audio bandwidth that is through Google Voice. And that is something that a lot of people don't know. And it's one of the things that I know because I work with the people who helped develop this technology when I worked with I'm so old. I remember when we had video calls in a little tiny postage stamp, and that was all you could do. So,
it's weird that it's bizarre how bad Microsoft dropped the ball on Skype. Like, it obviously is the superior technology, and they just blew it. They stopped developing it. They stopped modernizing the interface and how people connected and used it, and they blew it.
Yeah. Well, it's like I worked with the people at Cisco, and they had the WebEx platform, and it sucked. And so the people who they want to update it and work it, and so the people left, and they created Zoom. And so the Zoom with better technology, better sound, but the one thing that the WebEx people had was they understood the security implications of it, and so they had it set up so it all had the security, end-to-end encryption, that kind of stuff. And because of that, they got to stick around in locked in government contracts. And but still, it's one of those Zoom was there and it was working and it was easy to work during the pandemic, and it grew.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm not going to go on like I did the other day, but I will tell you that I watched a stream from Keffels, the woman who took down. Am I saying that right?
Yes.
The Kiwi Farms.
Yeah.
And it was amazing, and it was great to watch because it brought up, and she addressed a lot of the same things that I've been talking about on that call. And I wrote a piece that was up on my blog today and also on Hullabaloo about how clever the people who are attacking Boston Children's Hospital and Vanderbilt are. And the premise or the conceit was, if I was to give a presentation to the people at Boston Children's Hospital and say, what you should do, and describe it, and the kind of other part of it, which is, and they're not going to do it because of these reasons. And when I listened to her, it was like, yeah, she gets it. I mean, she should be. They should just, give her money and say, do your thing, because she's been the tip of the spear. She's, taken the heat, and she can, keep fighting them. But one of the things I know about big corporations and in these big, they're afraid to associate with actually going on the offense I mean, and it is very much, if somebody is attacked, they can, do something. Oh, that's great. But if she, got together, gathered thing and said, we're going to go after the people who are making these threats, they would freak out. I mean, it's just kind of like, oh, we can't do this. That's not our ball of wax and stuff. So I put this all together, and I asked people to read it, and I talked to the guy who the Center for Countering Digital Hate, Imran,
Yes.
the guy,
Yeah.
and
He's been on the
we
show
talked
before. Yep.
Yeah. And so I called him up in London, and I talked to him, and he gave me a link to one of the latest reports that they did with the Human Rights Campaign, that it was about social media and how they being attacked in the LGBTQ plus community, and really, really interesting. And the other thing that I had and I think I wrote you about this, I loved reading the chat from our call last time, because there was a user in there, I think Take It Easy or something like that, and he blew holes in every single suggestion or argument. And, when I talked about identifying people, it's like, oh, so now you want to be the dox king, and it was a perfect example of showing how even people on our side, they'll want to, flip the thing around, and it's kind of like, who do you think you are? The marketplace of ideas. And so it was really helpful, because that's one of the tricks that they do on the right. And when they do it also on our side, people who you think that, they would believe you think, wow, the propaganda is really, I mean, the depth of, I don't want to say contriness, is really deep. But I was really happy with the piece that I put together. It's way too long, but the goal is to get it in front of the kinds of people to say, hey, there are things you can do. Let's look at the people who have done them. And if you don't want to be, actively being the tip of the spear, have them, supported, give them some help, because nobody else is going to do this. And so, I mean, I hope that happens. And you know who Rick Perlstein is, the historian Rick Perlstein?
Yes.
Yeah.
Rick Perlstein's been on Majority Report a few times, at the very least. Yeah.
So he wrote me today, and he was asking about the work that I did back in 2006, 2007 about the right-wing radio hosts in San Francisco, about the way that they were using violent rhetoric, talking about, blowing people's brains out and stomping protesters to death and lighting people on fire. And I hadn't looked at this stuff, for years. And so I went back and I transcribed it and, listened to the audio, and it's really astonishing. And it makes me so glad that I was able to do something about these people, but they were very cavalier about killing people and stomping them. And they also had, one of the hosts would have these rallies where they attacked Cindy Sheehan, as an anti-war rally. And they talked about how somebody, one of their counter protesters, had a anti-war protester went up to a Gold Star mother and said, your son, did he die in the war? And yes. And it's like, well, how many babies did he kill beforehand? And it was kind of like, how many women did he rape? And that triggered Lee Rogers to say, this is terrible. They should just stomp him to death, for ignore the law, exception the law. And they said, well, we have video of this. And when we get the video, we're going to identify that person and find out, and we're going to make his, we're alive miserable. And I'm thinking, wow, this is libs of TikTok. I mean, this is, they're going to, find the piece, and then they're going to dox them. And and then she turned around and said, and Cindy Sheehan, she didn't condemn the speech. I mean, she just thinks, oh, I have my own free speech. I can. And it was this instant flip from them being the victims, to like, and you think you're so perfect. Well, you're not. And it was really fascinating. And I was, I hope he's going to do something about it. But here I am. I'm going on. But I just wanted to say, check this piece out. I would like to figure out a way to get this to people who actually could act on it, to do something. I would love to, and I've been contacting, backstage, behind the scenes, stuff like that. But I also know you don't want to make too big of a deal of it, because the Kiwi farm people come after you. So I've been trying to pay attention.
I don't, I think, for me personally, I don't care. I gotta have Keffels on, honestly. It's been.
Please do. She's ready to go. I mean, she wants to do something.
Oh, I was supposed to have her on a long time ago, and I it was at a bad time for me, and then unfortunately, I completely missed all of the Kiwi farm stuff because I was away when it all went down. And honestly, it kills me because it's something that I would have been on top of and helping her out, covering and getting her story out there, but I wasn't around.
Well, the thing that we're learning these days is that there are some consequences for people who are actually saying terrible things.
Yes.
And that's one thing that I wanted to know, that everybody who is out there, they're crisis actors, and I'm the real victim here.
I mean, he does think that, yes. Thanks for the call, Spacco. For the wonderful addition to the impressions going on today. Or should I say...
impression night.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't give that away. And, again, another great discussion about the state of how horrible everything is.
But we can do something. There is hope.
Thank you, yes. Yeah.
Good night.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye. All right. I will take everyone who was on the line, I lost them. Maybe one more call. Let me see what super chats are out there right now. Sherman Brown with a $50 super chat. I am from southeastern Ohio. What do you think a local business owner can do to deter far-right extremism within reason? Let me get to that in a second, Sherman. Let me take this call. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
What's up, Matt? Can you hear me okay?
Dave from Jamaica. What a perfect way to close out the calls today. Actually, I shouldn't assume this is Dave from Jamaica. I should assume this is someone calling in with an impression of Dave from Jamaica, and that this isn't really Dave from Jamaica.
No, this is the Dave from Jamaica. Jamaican accents are very hard to do well. Not even Michael could get it down pat. So.
Oh, that's true. Let me try. No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
What did they talk about, Dave?
I was kind of surprised. Tonight turned into workout your material night.
Hey, I gotta say, everyone was
pretty good.
Really good. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I guess what I was going to talk about was my concerns with like where I see a lot of the world heading right wing wise. Like Italy was very, very, very troubling because a lot of it seemed to be not just anti-immigrant rhetoric kind of pushing it, but there's anti-immigrant and then there's I want immigrants to die type of thing going on, which clearly is what's going on with not a very sizable portion of Italy. So what's your take on all of this?
I want to do an episode on on Italy specifically and their new fascist PM. I just honestly I don't know who to talk to. I don't know of anyone like who is knowledgeable of the situation off the top of my head. I mean, I'm sure I could do a little bit of research and find someone. But if anyone has recommendations in terms of someone who is well educated about the situation there and how this came to be. I would love to talk with them, so definitely feel free to shoot over to that recommend.
Oh,
I'm not saying
yeah.
you need. I'm not putting you on the spot, Dave.
Oh, no. I guess the other thing I was kind of thinking about, as the last caller Spacco brought up, is I guess for me, the analogy with the free speech absolutists kind of remind me of the criticism people give libs, like, just vote, you know what I mean? And with the free speech people is like, well, just good ideas. And practically speaking, I'm looking at what has shut down pretty gross speech. And I hate to say it, deplatforming seems to work pretty well. Remember how Andrew Tate was blowing up till he probably embarrassed some high-ranking person at Facebook because their kids were shouting weird shit. And then he got blasted off and he's disappeared.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Right.
He's done. He's toast.
No, he's I mean, he's not gone, completely, but yes, for sure, his reach is been greatly diminished.
And I think maybe what's going on, since you are more familiar with the rules of YouTube, and I think you saw that episode where on MR where they were talking about the grossness of what's the fucker's name again? Crowder.
Oh yeah.
How is he still on YouTube?
I mean,
I'm pretty sure he's crossed some lines by now.
I hate to say it, but misogyny is not straight up against YouTube's rules.
I mean, there's misogyny, but then we see him posting stuff where even I am like, somebody needs to do some digging. This guy's done something type of thing, like the regretful sex stuff. That is not. I know a lot of misogynists. Nobody's willing to volunteer that type of information in public.
It's
it's very weird. It's a very, very weird. Like there's difference between regretful sex and rape. It's a very weird thing to bring up. It's bothering me to this day, type of thing.
It's not wrong that you're weirded out by that recent rant from Crowder. Absolutely. I mean, in line, part of the course, still definitely very weird that he just went on about that. I saw the Majority Report clip you're talking about. Yeah, I don't know what's there. I don't know what's going on there, honestly. I can't even begin to speculate, honestly.
Because, as I said, I grew up in a country where there's a lot of misogynists. And there's certain things they say that are pretty gross. But something about that particular line is like, it's not something you hear common, even among misogynists. Not even jokingly.
Well, I'll say that that was the line from a lot of what I heard from that Crowder clip is in line with what I remember Mike Cernovich spouting back when I was covering him in the in like the Gamergate days. It's not new. It's certainly well within that world of right wing belief. It's weird. It's weird. And also, back to your point about Crowder with YouTube. Someone in YouTube reminded me. I've done articles about this specifically for Crowder too. YouTube also has a system where your strikes that you get expire. So he has played the game many times where
it's time to get a strike. Yeah, because we're going to.
He spaces out his strikes so that he never accumulates 3 at one time.
So Yeah, you're right. They know how to play that game.
I mean,
What?
makes the YouTube system pretty dumb, honestly. That you can get away with, doing that. But I don't know. I mean, I think it's
Before I forget, I want to repeat the call I think Emma made that people should just report that particular video if they can, because I think it's reportable worthy. If there's an or do you share the same view on that one?
Wait,
Or
what? I missed what you said right there. What did Emma say? I did watch the clip, but I don't remember what she said specifically.
I think she said we should report that particular video.
Yeah, it's not going to do anything. It's not.
You don't think so?
No, I mean they're clearly, I think, very carefully skirting YouTube's rules to make what they're saying. I mean, it's possible they could get them a strike. It's not going to get them banned. I also don't think YouTube wants to ban him, to be quite frank.
Too much cash.
Yeah, he's the biggest.
Too much eyeballs.
He's the biggest YouTube conservative on there. There's no one bigger. He's the big boss. And if they come down hard on him, I mean, I'm not saying they would never do it, but he would have to do something really, like, this isn't cutting it, honestly, unfortunately. And
well, I think he's done worse to like personally direct attacks on individual, but I guess that strike has.
Oh yeah,
long
I
since
definitely think
faded off.
I definitely think, like, listen, this one was bad, obviously, and there's no talking around that. But in terms of, like, specifically bad to, like, a social media platform's policy, this unfortunately isn't something that's up there, honestly. Like, there's no, I mean, I don't know let me look up, actually, YouTube policy. I'm just gonna put, I don't even think anything's coming up.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing coming up at all about YouTube policy and like comments about rape or rape apology or anything like that. I don't think.
So basically, Crowder would have to kind of do something so boneheaded that he probably won't do. Something so blatant.
Crowder did get suspended. I remember this late last year. For a segment he did on rape in prisons, where he claimed a trans individual was responsible for rapes against women, who, and this trans individual was being kept in the women's portion of the prison. He went off the walls in that one. I remember exactly what he said, but I remember it was ridiculous, and he was also pushing something that wasn't true. And that got him a suspension, but it wasn't the specific rape mention. It was the fact that he was demeaning a marginalized group via his comments about trans people. Yes. I don't think that his comments would get him in trouble, honestly.
Well, that's a little depressing, but I guess that's kind of how YouTube rolls, unfortunately.
I don't know if his comments would get him in trouble anywhere on social media. Honestly, I hate to say it,
I think if he was on Twitch, I think they'd clap him. I think he would have gotten at least a suspension.
Let me check what.
I mean, Twitch is banning people for saying cracker, so.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so
So that might, Twitch might, but Twitch also has a very, very strict. Yeah, I don't know though if I maybe it depends. I guess I'll have to look more into that. But he's also not on Twitch, so I mean it's sort of a hypothetical. We're doing the Tim Pool. Imagine if, though, for a second, that this thing that isn't the case, it is the case.
But I guess the thing is, I guess for me, especially as you said, Crowder's audience definitely seems to be younger males, even though I see some older males kind of.
I would love to know.
I would love to see his demos.
I would love to know that, because I don't know. I heard that Sam and Matt Leck were saying, like, his audience is probably like 12 to 14-year-old boys. And I'm sure they make up a sizable audience, but he also makes a ton of money from his subscription based mug club.
And
And
that is only for people 30 and up who have money.
I mean, yeah, that's not,
Yeah.
yeah, the 14-year-old boys they don't got the credit card to subscribe to that, So
I do suspect he has probably if I'm guessing the audience, and this is purely guessing from the people who defend him a lot, we're talking people in mid-20s or late 30s probably, because all the way up that I'm not as convinced he has that many youngsters, because his comedy is not particularly very good. Typical
Wow.
conservative comedy. Say some.
young boys in that age demo don't have particularly very advanced senses of humor, honestly.
No, I get you. I get you. But I'm not as convinced he has that much of a younger audience, because I still don't see. We need the demo information. But I'm not certain. Like Andrew Tate and the Manosphere stuff, I can see having a younger audience, because
But him too,
they speak the specific thing.
Right, I see what you're saying, but him too. I mean, he definitely had a younger audience, obviously, because he was blowing up on TikTok and stuff. But I mean,
he's blowing up on TikTok.
Well, he
too?
was. No, he was. He's gone from there too. But I mean,
Oh, you're talking Tate. Sorry.
yeah,
sorry,
no, I'm
sorry.
talking Tate. Yeah, but at the same time, he was again making a lot of money from his multi-level marketing scheming, and again, that's something that young boys don't have access to, the ability to purchase into that membership program.
Oh, I was going to ask you about this, or this is more of a scam topic, but you've heard about the whole gambling thing getting clapped off of Twitch.
I did. I haven't gotten too into that, but I did hear that. I do know that it's not completely banned, just non-regulated, like the stuff that basically the crypto related stuff, because that's not regulated. They're skirting laws by doing that shit. But yeah,
I think sports gambling is safe.
yeah. I
But-
mean, listen, I think it's fine. Again, I think as long as they're regulated and there's a agency making sure that everything here is legit and no one's being taken advantage of, I think yes, it's fine for adults to partake in this stuff and watch this stuff if they want. But again, a lot of those crypto ones were doing really shady shit, like literally giving these streamers the fucking money to gamble on the stream, so the streamers were losing nothing, just to basically get their audience addicted into it. And of course, that streamer's audience isn't getting money from the crypto casino to gamble with. They're using their own money,
Well, I guess for me, I think it's harder to make a stream about sports gambling and be entertaining, while the slots has that weird impulse thing where you see people cranking the thing, and I think that being gone is probably better, because that one is pretty far as far as I know, even though gambling is not my particular vice per se.
Right.
But I'm beginning to wonder what if there's a way to even quantify the damage that was done while it was still allowed. How many young kids have now become kind of gambling addicts for life?
I mean, crypto certainly didn't help. I mean, the whole thing is like it's like the same sort of adrenaline rush with gambling. Like, it's definitely not the same thing as stocks. I mean, again, stocks have their own issues, but it's definitely not even close to being the same thing. I mean, for one, you're forced to step away. I mean, the stock market's only open for a certain number of hours each day, and only Monday through Friday. Just like the casinos, the crypto market doesn't close. If you don't have that self-control, then you literally cannot, you can go without taking a break, and it's very unhealthy. I mean, I've read stories about relationships falling apart because of people getting addicted to checking their fucking crypto portfolio 24/7 at all hours of the day.
All because it's so volatile and it's
Yeah,
bouncing up. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I can definitely see how that. That's why I'm very worried about these things. It kind of reminds you of games with loot boxes and that type of thing, where the instant gratification and then the ease of just doing it over and over again until you're like in huge debt. These things do bother me because like gambling addict people don't understand gambling. When you have a gambling addiction, it's really bad. I mean, it's one of those. It is a life destroyer if you have that kind of vice that you, because it's very hard to resist it. I don't have it, but I know people who are gambling addicts, and it's rough.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't. It's one of those few things that, like, if I if I was to support a hard ban, it would be on that type of gambling that where you there's no, as you said, there's no form of, well, we're not doing any more these bets right now, or because you can just sit on the slots forever. I don't know what you do with that.
Yeah. It's
Well, I guess.
it's it's people get addicted. It's bad.
Mm. But from your tone, I'm guessing you're kind of a little hesitant on the ban on that type of gambling, or you're more
I don't
of
again, I don't I think as long as it's regulated, I can't I don't like being someone who's like,
Mhm.
certain people can't handle it, so no one should be able to handle it. I
I see what
mean,
you're
to
saying.
me it's not um I think it's fine for people to do as a sort, as a extra curricular activity for entertainment
Hmm.
purposes or whatever. But there need to be measures taken for people who take it to the extreme, and we didn't see that with a lot of those crypto gambling um,
Hmm.
platforms.
Well, thank you for rooting out my authoritarian impulses.
I mean, I don't think, I know. I mean, do I think that way about everything? No, but I mean, like, for example, like cigarettes, I think are horrible. And I think I would be fine with that being banned. But why is the reason for that, Matt? Well, with gambling, if I decide not to gamble, I don't have to gamble. Um, but if I live in an apartment building with cigarette smokers, that shit seeps through my apartment walls, and I'm affected by it. It's
Mm.
not something where there's no one being affected. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Hmm. Hmm.
secondhand smoke is a thing. Secondhand gambling isn't.
Mm. Unless you're like the kid of the gambler. But yeah, I get what you're saying. No, I get what I'm just joking, but I get what you're saying. I guess I just can't really think of a way to regulate slots in a way that would prevent people who have that kind of addiction to, not wreck their lives on it. But I guess you can't save everybody from everything, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Some of these things I'm sure uh, could go the way. I mean, it's like if gambling was banned, I wouldn't really. Doesn't affect me. But I mean, listen, we state sanction, we friggin' sanction gambling in the form of the state lotteries. I mean,
Oh, I think I found a compromise. Kind of like how people are cracking down on military recruiters going on Twitch or trying to recruit kids through video games and so on and such. I think maybe less public viewing of gambling is probably the best route.
yeah.
In other words, yeah,
But
I
then I'm
think
sure
that's probably.
all those professional poker players would get very angry.
Well, I mean, I'll take my, I'm just attacking things that are like slots. For the other type of gambling, while I do think they have their issues, I think the slots one is the one that worries me because how humans work and that I'm way more comfortable of that not being viewed publicly or
Yeah.
glorified.
Yeah, I think there's also, that's a good point. There's also a difference between games of chance and
Hmm.
games of skill.
Right.
Poker ain't as bad as slots.
Hmm. Right. At least with poker, you can count the cards. There's no way to cheat a slot machine. Well, they already
Well,
caught
I
that
don't
guy.
even mean
and
I don't
fixed
even
it.
mean I don't even mean cheating. I mean, poker
Mhm.
does take skill. I mean, obviously the
Mhm.
cards you get are random, but I mean, there are
Mhm.
strategies to play,
Mhm.
and you do need to know
You
how
can
to.
read a person's face and
Yes,
everything.
know when to fold, know when to. Oh my God, I'm gonna sing the song. Gotta know when to
Know when to
hold
hold
them,
'em.
know when to
Know when to
fold
fold
them.
'em. All right.
But I mean, that's the truth. I mean, there is a skill to it, whereas there's no skill to slots. You pull the fucking lever, and whatever happens, happens.
Yep. But that's the thing. I'm thinking like the logic of a casino where mathematically the house wins, right? And basically all of this is basic for the general public is a game of you lose. And somehow that's legal. It's kind of nuts when you think about it. The concept is we're giving these guys money. And
Right,
that's
right,
it's
right.
kind of nuts that in a way that's kind of a this is considered a thing that we do. But that that's it's weird. But
Yeah.
well, other than Europe going fascist and whatnot, what is the thing on the news that most concerns you today, Matt?
I don't know, honestly. I mean, I'm pretty. Yeah, I guess maybe the midterm elections. Honestly, that's what I'm. Well, there's all. I mean, there's that huge hurricane down in Florida right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but
Dumped a lot of water on us and it wrecked
oh,
Puerto
right,
Rico.
right. You were right, right, right.
Well, we're more or less fine. I think Puerto Rico is the one that really, really suffered
Yes, I heard that.
because they're still reeling from recovery.
Right.
Aren't they like and I just said they're a U.S. territory, but they barely get any aid. What the hell is going on? Do they want people to just leave Puerto Rico forever? Are they
Right.
trying to make it unlivable so some rich asshole can buy up the property? I'm not sure what's going on there.
Yeah. It's yeah. All right, Dave.
I know you get. I hear it coming on. You're finally getting tired.
Yeah, it's time for me to call it a night. I really appreciate the call. Again, if anyone has any recommendations for someone to have on for
The Italy stuff.
Italy, yes, please reach out to me. Take care, Dave. Have a
Same
great
to you,
night.
Matt. Get some sleep.
Bye. All right, folks. I'm gonna read the super chats and then call it a night. Oh, while I do this, who should I rate on Twitch? Oh, Sherman Brown with a $50 super chat. I am from southeastern Ohio. What do you think a local business owner can do to deter far right extremism within reason? Yeah. I don't know. That's a good question. Can I think about that one and get back to you? And specifically in terms of what you can do with your position in the community? Spin me a sailcloth with a super chat. Walter Block video and 50-year-old woman. Also check your messages. I want to get you that info. The Walter. Right. Ezekiel Mordecai with a $20 super chat. Doomed Tech Fund. Thank you, Ezekiel. Renee with the super chat. Japan has history regarding anarchism and labor. I was coaching Cameron on being Jordan Peterson. NYC isn't the only city on the eastern seaboard, too. Spin me a sailcloth with another super chat. Saying the sociobiology versus block. Right. Get me that. I will check my messages. Right, I gotta check my messages. Right. Dirt Devil with a super chat. I'd like to be a mod. You need more. Lots of trolls lately. Yeah, message me on Twitter or wherever you want to message me. I think I hear my daughter crying. But I'm wrapping up now, so let me just. I think her mom's going right now. Over on Twitch, Valinova with 5 community gift subs. Thank you so much. Friar Tuck, subscribe with Prime. How did I miss this? This was from last week. Torting News rated me. How did I miss that last week? Thank you, Tony News. Let me get back to the most recent stuff, though. Incognito Therapy, subscribe with Prime. Thank you. Pranay 1976, resubscribe with Prime, subscriber for 2 months. Thank you so much. Ponderosa Pine, resubscribed for 1 month at tier 1, subscriber for 9 months. Whoa. I had to press 1 for English today, which is proof that we need a patriot and veteran like Mastriano to stop Adrenochrome Joe's radical liberal CRT agenda. Hashtag Trump won 2020. Hashtag Soros. Hashtag HODL. Oh, very funny. Thank you, Ponderosa Pine. Don James 1676 cheered with 200 bits. Thank you so much. Daredevil again with the community gift sub. Thank you so much. Frugging, I love that screen name. Frugging, subscriber Prime. Thank you so much. Folks, really appreciate the support. And don't worry, Sherman, your $50 super chat question will not be ignored. I just need time to think that one over. You don't have to super chat me again next week to ask me that question again. I'll remember this super chat. I mean, you could always give me a super chat if you want for other stuff, but you don't have to feel obligated to ask that question again. But just either on Thursday, that's tomorrow with Scam Economy, or next Tuesday, just remind me of that question. I just need some time to think that one over. That's a good question, specifically from the angle you're asking it. So I need to think that one over. All right, folks. Once again, twitch.tv/MattBinder. For those Twitch Prime subscriptions. YouTube.com/MattBinder. Subscribe there. And if you can, again, very slow, very, very bad month for the Patreon. Patreon.com/MattBinder if you can. If you can subscribe to the Patreon page, it would be greatly appreciated. With all that said, remember, Scam Economy is tomorrow. That's not being pushed because of, Wednesday today isn't the usual doom day, but it worked out that way because my guest, Chris, couldn't come on yesterday, and I really wanted to do this episode, so I had no problem moving it just a day to have him on. But Scam Economy does not move. Scam Economy is tomorrow. Who should I raid? That's right. Who should I raid? Yeah, Cosmopolitics. I'll do that. Because I am gonna go on that movie show that she does next month to watch a zombie movie with the crew. So that'll be fun. So let me do Cosmopolitics. Matt Gates raid. Is Matt Gates on right now? Because that would be really funny. No, he's not. Oh, wait. Ray Vaughn is on right now, too. Well, I already said Cosmopolitics. Oh, and Cosmopolitics is watching Majority Report. How could I not? How could I not? All right, everybody. I'm rating Cosmopolitics right now. And, wait, what's this? LOL Matt was in Hassan's chat? Where was I? What? What's going on? I was not in Hassan's chat. Was I? All right, folks. Rating Cosmopolitics now. I will see you all next time on Doomed.